Peace party, people. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Let the Record Show. I am Mike Pizzo.
I'm Warren Peace.
And today's special guest is...
Valentino Khan.
Thank you for being here, man.
Nice.
So excited.
Yeah, so you gave us a list of your favorite songs of all time.
Yeah.
And then we went hunting down everything on vinyl.
Hell yeah.
And now we're going to play those tracks and Let the Record Show.
Let's go.
All right, let's do it.
Here we go.
Dirty South. Ain't got really feel me. Feel us. East Coast, feel me. Feel us. West Coast, feel me. Say what? Dirty South. Here we go.
All right, Valentino, first on your list from the Oscar-nominated, award-winning Criterion Collection Dr. Dolittle soundtrack.
That was from the Eddie Murphy I'm Just Getting Money phase.
Yes.
The remake of
Yeah.
Dr. Dolittle. Aaliyah, Are You That Somebody?
But a big record, man. Like, this is really important to me because when I think what Timbaland was one of the first people that obviously produced this record.
Yeah.
One of the first people that influenced me to be like, or not even he did influence me, but like even prior to that to be like, oh, like that's what a producer does. Like, oh, that's the guy that makes the beat, like the music behind it.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of like started to learn about Timbaland was like through stuff like this, and he'd be in the background, the videos, not like foreground like Puff was.
Right.
But he'd be doing the ad libs. So you're like, who's that guy? And all these records that I like, it's like, baby girl.
Yeah.
He's just doing that shit, and I'm like, and then I figured out it was Timbaland, and rest in peace, Aaliyah obviously.
Yeah.
Had like one of the brightest futures ahead of her. And
Totally.
Yeah.
It was so sad to that her life was cut short, but just like I think the most important thing for me was like really from some influential producers for me was like Timbaland, Neptunes, Dre,
Right.
and especially Timbaland was like probably the best of this. Was like I would hear something and be like, what the fuck is that?
Right.
Yeah.
Like The Baby.
And that's what excited me about
Yeah.
music. That was the first thing that like really excited me about music.
So when you said, was this the first record you heard? You go, that's what a producer does.
It was
one of them.
I don't know if this, I can't exactly remember what the first one was,
yeah.
but it was around this time. It was definitely Timbaland was like probably the guy that made me like be like, oh, okay, that's the guy that makes the beat.
Yeah.
Even though Aaliyah's singing, everything else underneath that is Timbaland touched that. So
Yeah.
So he had a ton of hits. I mean, especially in this era, and I think this is one of the ones that really like pushed him over the edge. But
this was back when he was still doing Timbaland and Magoo.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, true.
Yes.
Pre-Bubba
Sparks.
Pre-Bubba
Yes.
Sparks, yeah.
And were you? I mean, was this the one that? Were you? I'm sure you were aware of. You said you're aware of his other hits as well, but is this the one that really sold it for you? Or
Yeah, it was definitely this. Get Your Freak On, Missy Elliott, obviously classic record, but like to this day, I still never heard a record like that. That was like probably the one time I still remember like driving in the car.
Yeah.
Or I wasn't even driving at the time yet, but like being in the car and hearing this beat on the record, and the drum beat is so.
Yeah.
I've never heard a drum beat like that.
Yeah.
And I think he got it off this like Deepest India sampler pack or some shit like that.
And I think he got
sampled
sued
it
for one of those.
Yeah.
One of those.
Troy Boy mentioned it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
mentioned
word,
it.
yeah. It was this sample pack. I think it was called Deepest India, but I didn't know at the time. I learned about it later.
Yeah.
But I remember listening on the radio, I heard it on Power 106 out in LA, and I was like, what the fuck is this? It's like the beat is like, dum, dum,
Right.
Then it has the like the fucking the bongos or whatever the hell it is, tablas or whatever is in the background, and it's like, nothing else sounds like that to me. But like once again, that's what excites me about music and how I try to carry on that tradition when I make records now too. Like I want people to hear something and be like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And he also produced Pony, which you have a song called Pony.
Yeah.
Is that a callback there, or is that just
no comments?
Coincidence?
You know what I'm saying? But that Genuine record was. I mean, still when you play it in the club now, it's one of those timeless records where like 19-year-olds still have found out about that song. Right?
Yeah.
The beat is like it's like a dude burping.
Yeah.
I feel like it was probably like a stock sound from like a like a emu thing or some shit like that.
I mean,
right?
he was doing a lot of those sounds with his own mouth too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy. I want to show you something. All right, I want to give some attention to the "Are You That Somebody" bootleg remix.
Yeah.
This features Mad Skills, Danger Mouth, and Lonnie B. It's like a
This was
hip-hop
a hip-hop site
version.
like #1 seller for us.
I wasn't even aware of this. Remember he'd do like the hip hop wrap up every year?
Yep.
And he'd fucking call out everybody.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And this actually, they got a lot of play on Hot 97 with this.
Yep.
This is a huge bootleg. And what was great about this is he acknowledges the sound of the baby in the background, you know. But yeah, just an amazing remix.
Like if I ever did an interview with Timbaland, that's definitely a question I ask him. Like, what like compelled you to like use that baby sound?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, totally innovative, like really ahead of its time too.
Yeah,
yeah. All right, Aaliyah.
Dope.
Are You That Somebody?
Amazing.
Yo, I go by the name of Pharrell from the Neptunes, and I just want to let y'all know.
All right, next up on your list, Star Trek.
Oh,
there it is.
We got the Clips grinding.
Yes.
Continuing with the Virginia sound. And this is, you also said earlier, Neptunes were one of your favorite producers.
I can rap every word of this song, but for the purposes of this interview, I won't.
Okay.
Another, like, Pharrell is one of the most influential, and Neptunes, I should say, not to exclude Chad Hugo, obviously, but one of the most influential people for just my career, because when I started first making beats, I was like, we're just sampling. I would look up like who did Wu-Tang Clan sample, who did like College Dropout era Kanye sample, like shit like that. And I'd be like, oh, the Charmels, or like, oh, Gladys Knight, whatever. And I go on SoulSeek.
Yep. Okay.
SoulSeek.
Yeah.
I may or may not still use it too.
Yeah.
So I would make beats through sampling. I would jack Neptune's drums, like clean cuts of them.
Sure.
It's Dre drums, Timbaland drums. And then there came a point where it'd be like, there'd be a day where I'd be like, I can't make beats because I don't have samples. So I was very dependent on them.
Right.
And then I heard what the Neptunes were doing. I'm like, these guys are using like stock sounds. Saw what Scott Storch was kind of doing at the time too. And like, one year for my birthday, my parents got me a keyboard, a Triton LE that I still use to this day.
Nice.
And I got that because somebody told me that like a lot of the stock sounds the Neptunes use were in the Triton keyboard.
Yeah.
And there's like the claps and the drums on this are very similar, if they're not the same exact ones that they used on Grindin'.
Right.
And bro, like this beat is so incredible to me because you can play it on a wall. You can drum it on a wall. I saw a tweet the other day that was like, the lunch. You probably know what I'm talking about. It's like it's a lunchroom table beat. It's a drum beat. There's no melody other than the shit.
Yeah.
That's like the Pharrell mouth clucks or whatever you want to call it.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, an amazing.
So innovative, but like the drums hit so hard, and it's such a recognizable, memorable pattern.
Yeah.
And they're the perfect samples that it's a classic record.
Right, without a doubt.
This was on Lord Willin', right?
Oh, you mean this?
Oh, there we go. That was a setup, yeah.
Setup and a tear.
Yeah, I love. Me and my friends made a really dumb, like on the camcorder, made a dumb video to. Was it like the Virginia intro?
Yeah, well, this is
like this Virginia.
Album. This was like a 12-inch box
Oh, okay,
set,
word.
Yeah, I had to bring it out. And
That's
actually,
dope.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. You know what's so underrated on this is the Family freestyle.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah. Like Roscoe.
That
beat.
It was like crazy. It was like acid. It was like acid house.
Yeah.
On top of Neptune's drums.
Yeah.
It's the sickest beat. And Family killed it too. It was like. I always wondered, like, what happened to him? Like, he had so much potential. He was like the guy, like, even before they were riding for like Slim Thug, they were riding for like Family because he's from Virginia too.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, that was like Derek Dude, and I don't know if it ever took off for him, but yeah,
amazing record. The Clips, Grindin'.
Classic.
All right, next up on your list is Dr. Dre, Explosive, and I'm gonna blow your mind with this because. This is signed by Dre.
Okay, let me try to guess on.
Right.
That's Corrupt.
Yep.
That's obviously Dre.
Yep.
Snoop.
Yep.
Wait, who's that? I can't tell.
Exhibit.
It's
the Z. Yep.
Exhibit right there.
Slim Shady.
Slim Shady. That's right there. Hitman. Yeah.
Who is featured on?
Nice.
He's featured on your track here, Explosive.
I'm really surprised you haven't hung this up yet, man. I'm surprised
that
you
would
still
be
not.
That would be above my fireplace.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So tell us about Explosive. I mean, this is one of the most popular songs on here.
I think one of the reasons I was like, I wanted to listen to this record is like. It's the whole album, and like it was too hard to pick just one, but I had to pick one.
Yeah.
And man, like growing up in Los Angeles, Dr. Dre was One of the most influential musicians, if not the most for me. Like, I just love the fact that, like, and this was really the level up, because if you listen to the difference between the first Chronic and then 2001, it still had the same, like, West Coast melodic vibe, like, kind of paying homage, sometimes sampling, like, the Parliament and shit like that. But at the same time, leveled up by bringing, like, real studio musicians in with him. And this was such a, like, everybody else was, like, here. And then when Dre dropped 2001, it was like, nah, you motherfuckers gotta, like, catch it. This is like, this is because it was like, I'm like a real musician. It
had the same West Coast feel. The MCs were still delivering, but it was just it was like a polished level.
So clean, It's the mixing. It's the mixing. It's
it really was like, if you took something and then was like, there's people that, you know, as you've seen in the music industry, there's a lot of times people throw a lot of money at a project, and then it doesn't translate to shit. This was like, you were like, Dre, you're very talented. You have a very defined sound. Here's a bunch of money to work with. And you fucking took every penny of that and nailed it and created something that is going to last for lifetimes.
Especially, it was also great to see him, like, come out of death row. And be like, okay,
been there, done that.
But even better than that. It's like he came.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. No. That was such a crazy middle transition for him, where he was like ballroom dancing in the music video and shit.
He was really trying to shed, like, the negative image, But like, then that didn't work, and then he came back with this because people were naysaying it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like Dre fell off, etc. He came back with this, and it was like, okay, everyone be quiet.
He hit him with that gangster shit again. Like, I remember another person I feel like kind of had that same reaction, but in a different way, was MC Hammer. Everybody was like, I've just heard interviews where people are like, no, Hammer might dance in the videos, but he's like one of the hardest motherfuckers in the game. And like, people were, I think at the time, people were attacking him for, like, he had like a lot of flair and swag to, like, his whole aesthetic. And then he came out with that album. I had it actually on CD, and it had like Oaktown. It was like the Funky Headhunter. That was the name. Was the name of that album.
It was.
And it was like he changed his image.
It was like on some gangster shit.
He was on some gangster shit. I love that album actually.
He had the beanie,
and the shades on the cover.
Pumps in the bump.
Pumps in the bump. That was what bro. Yeah, he was also like
on in the video.
Yeah, he was also like 2 Live Crew shit in the video.
I wanted to show you this as well. This is called The Way I Be Pimpin'. And this is their original version of Explosive.
Wait a minute.
This is the original version. This is the demo version.
And Dre's rapping on this. And basically, that's Royce the 5'9" on the hook. Royce wrote the song.
Yeah, I've heard this.
Yeah.
This is like, wow. This is one of those things that you like accidentally downloaded off of like Kazaa.
You like exactly.
And you were like, what is it? Oh, this is some weird alternate version.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a couple versions of this like floating around on the internet. Obviously, this is a bootleg, but on YouTube, there's a full version. There's different versions, different stuff in the middle, you know. But just really interesting to see the stages of that creative process. And how many versions he's done of all these tracks, you know.
I just realized I picked a Dr. Dre record that he doesn't rap on.
Yeah. He's not on, but he's on this one. The whole song is
that's why, because I heard his voice on this one, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. He doesn't rap at all on Explosive.
But I mean, you honestly just picked this whole album. I mean, you can't.
I mean, that's for all intents and purposes.
You can't.
I don't want to make the entire show about one album. But like, it was too hard to pick.
Oh, definitely.
I just tried to pick the most memorable beat for me. It was that or next episode. So it was like,
both.
Probably, All right. Every song was heat,
Dr. Dre, Explosive, and The Way I Be Pimpin'.
The Way I Be Pimpin'.
I'm King News, and I come to you with the truth. The mean streets took 6 more lives overnight, all the result of gang-bang stupidity.
All right, next up on your list, another Dr. Dre produced track alongside Shock G of Digital Underground. The West Coast Rap All-Stars were all in the same gang. This is a great record.
This was such a dope record because it literally was everybody on the West Coast ganging up, allying to say we're all in the same gang and to fight gang violence and promote unity. And that's such a dope thing. It seems like it's kind of cool, a tragic full circle moment, I'll say. with like the death of Nipsey recently, where he's promoting the same shit.
Right.
And but yeah, this is a cool throwback to like if you watch this music video and you'll hear the verses like it's like everybody has like I don't know like 8 bars or something. And then somebody else like camera pans over to them and it's like it's the West Coast Rap All Stars.
Yeah, it's amazing. You got Hammer, King T, Ice-T, Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, Oaktown 357, Digital Underground, Tone Loc.
The beat switches up for Digital
Fad.
JJ Fad was on it too. You're right.
Yeah.
The beat switches up for when Digital Underground comes on too.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost like a Humpty Dance.
I think that you hear the snare. The iconic snare was always in it.
That snare was beat to death.
Yeah.
Well, it was all influenced by Parliament.
Yeah.
It's like Atomic Dog. Like it might even be just straight up.
This was back in the day when a hip hop group would do a dope ass beat, and then all the R&B singers, producers would grab it like about 6 months later.
Right.
So there'd be an onslaught of like that snare or that sound. New Jack Swing had that snare layered all through it.
One of those Digital Underground albums had a track it was a skit called the Humpty Dance Awards, and they played every song that sampled the drums.
Wow.
I remember that.
And they were like, really, But yeah, I mean, this was, you had to be pretty young when this came out. Did you discover it later, or?
I kind of did discover it later because I was mad young when this came out. But like I don't know. I just like. I think it's important to know your history, man. It's important to like, even if you don't listen to it every day. Which even though I love this record, don't get me wrong. It's important to know what came before you because you might draw a little bit of influence from that, or just at least know. A lot of hip hop is based off of respect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of music is too. Even like I'll even make a bigger point. Like I feel like 98% of my friends today, we all get along really well. We met each other through the vehicle of respect. It was over the internet, obviously. Things have advanced since then, but it was like, hey, I love your music. Hey, I love your music too. Let's link up, and we linked up somewhere. Either it was a music conference in Miami or some shit in LA because everybody damn near lives there.
Yeah.
But and then it's on some respect shit. So it's always like it just goes further, and I feel like you develop valuable relationships when you have that like foundation.
It's always nice to hear the stories that people always talk about behind the music and how they discover the songs and how this song I was talking to this song with some other DJ and we ended up linking up because we all like the same stuff and we all were drawn to the same sound.
This record is a good example of that. I mean, for even these artists, you know what I mean. What's crazy is the B-side of this is it's called it's not on the album. It's called Tellin' Time, Mike's Rap, and this guy Mike Concepcion is basically talking about the history of the Crips. It's just an old dude talking, right? But what's cool is it's produced by Dre and Shock G of Digital Underground together, and I think it's like the only time they've ever like worked together.
I would make a bet,
besides we're all in the same gang, but this is the only time they've produced a track together. So pretty amazing.
I don't think I've heard this one.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty clear that Shock is on the piano here. But anyway, that's if you ever get the 12-inch, look out for that B-side because that's it's kind of cool. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, West Coast Rap All Stars. We're all in the same gang.
Break 'em.
All right. Keeping with the NWA crew, we have Ice Cube. It was a good day. Man, this is like this. He has a lot of great tracks, but this is.
Can you tell I grew up in Los Angeles?
Oh man,
arguably his best track. I mean,
arguably also when people ask me what my favorite song of all time is, I say "Gun in My Head." It's tough to pick with "Gun in My Head."
Yeah,
gotta be "It Was a Good Day" because to me it's the most LA song ever. Yeah. I still get hype as fuck when he says the Lakers beat the Supersonics. Even though the Supersonics don't even exist anymore, I'm the diehard Lakers fan. And it just reminds me of growing up in LA and I can't put it like I want to elaborate on it more. Another song I damn near know every word to, and it's just like I want to elaborate on it more, but I can't put it any better than it reminds me of growing up in Los Angeles just everything I like. If I land from a long trip of touring, I'll go to this record. Put this record on, and I'll get some fucking In and Out, and I'll be like, I feel whole again.
This record. I mean, obviously it's a story. He's kind of making some social commentary about like, hey, like all of these things that happen to people in the inner city didn't happen today.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's a great
And
tale.
then people that weren't from the inner city were like, oh, I can't relate to that, but wow, that's really going on. I mean, it goes to the argument of like, back in the day, they were like, oh, NWA, you guys are so vulgar and shit. But they were like, yeah, we might be vulgar, but we're just reporting the news.
Exactly.
And like that's,
some political hip-hop,
I didn't
really.
have to use my AK. It was a good day.
Yeah.
That says it all. Like that.
So I always thought this was one of the best loops ever. I mean, this loop,
good.
Yes.
you can hear this for hours and still just be nodding
Footsteps
your
in
head.
the dark.
Yeah, this and James Brown with "It Takes Two" loop.
Yeah.
I mean, like this loop. I mean, this. You can just put this loop on repeat, and it just never gets old.
Sometimes I'll just listen to the Footsteps in the Dark, Icy Brothers OG one, just because it's like, if I really want it to be like way more mellow, I'm like, this is the OG sound.
Totally.
It depends how long the tour was.
Because the drums are like, I think they just kind of switched the drums a little. It's pretty much damn near the same exact thing. It's pretty much like, the only other thing I can really compare to that is Kanye producing for Alicia Keys, You Don't Know My Name.
Yeah.
And he just, I forget who the artist was he sampled, but he just chopped the sample and arranged it.
Right.
Wow. Which is cool.
Yeah. I mean, do you ever see that the internet deduced like the exact day that he was speaking of?
Yeah, because I think it had to have been, I think, when Sedale 3 was on the Lakers.
Right.
And we had Elton Campbell probably in Divac.
Right.
And then they figured out, I think it was someday in like, I want to say 93 or 94.
It's January 20th, 1992.
92. Okay.
Basically, they said
right
all
after,
the things that he's talking about and said, okay, it had to be a day the Lakers beat the Supersonics.
The Lakers, the Lakers and the weather were the two most important factors, I believe, in determining what the good day was.
The other
That's
fun
awesome.
fact about this was Goodyear actually, like maybe in like 2014, flew the blimp over South Central and didn't put Ice Cube's a pimp. They put Today's a Good Day. It was like a fundraising thing, and then they took all the money and donated it to South Central schools.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, Ice Cube. Today was a good day, or it was a good day. So.
Yeah.
Ice Cube's a pimp.
All right, next up on your list, Parliament, Funkateliki LP, and your cut on here is Flashlight.
Yeah.
An interesting fact, this song has been sampled by Aaliyah, Ice Cube, Digital Underground, and Dr. Dre.
And everybody.
And we just talked about all
and
of
about
those.
80% of the West Coast All-Stars.
Rodney-O and Joe Cooley.
Yeah.
You don't hear me, though.
Oh, everybody. Everybody. Yeah. X-Clan. I mean, like, Digital Underground, but all the first 4 records that you picked were basically those artists sampled this record.
So from a producer, did you hear this record first, or you heard the rap records, said, I wonder what they produced, sampled, and went back and listened to it? How did you discover it?
Because I was young. It's cool. I actually was fortunate enough. I grew up with parents that had great taste in music.
Yeah.
So they're always playing James Brown, P-Funk, Prince, like all those records. And I mean, I kind of, even though I was probably young, I probably put it together in my head that it's like, oh, it's kind of the same shit. That I knew Flashlight, but then I also knew like whatever West Coast sampled songs that were based off this. Yeah. And George Clinton, legend, Boots Collins, everybody that was involved in Parliament Funkadelic.
Right.
What was a really cool moment for me actually was we did this thing. I'm affiliated with Mad Decent, putting records out on Mad Decent, and like when I first started fucking with Mad Decent, we did this thing called Red Bull Culture Clash. I don't know if you guys are familiar.
Yep.
But like, it's kind of like a battle thing where like you'll play a few records, then like the other team, it'll be like 4 teams.
Right.
And then our special guest was George Clinton that we brought out, and he performed, and I was on stage with George Clinton performing. So the 3 people I mentioned who were like the 3 like old school artists that like are the biggest influence for me.
Yeah.
George Clinton, James Brown, Prince. Luckily, I all got to see him. George Clinton's still alive, obviously, but like I got to see them all before they passed away.
Yeah,
and I'm so thankful for that.
So did you get to meet George after the?
Not like formally. I think I just dapped him up, gave him a high five, and like I don't know if I said anything to him, but like probably complimented him. But like it wasn't like just the fact that I was on stage with him and like he came with like a big ass fur coat. That's all. I definitely remember that. Yeah. But without like G-Funk is based off P-Funk.
Sure.
And without George Clinton and A lot of these other guys, like, there would be no West Coast rap.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say there may be no West Coast rap, but it wouldn't have had the
It wouldn't
sound
sound like this. Yeah. It'd be different. Yeah.
Yeah. But in particular with this one, the synths are so unique.
Yeah.
Like the dun, 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 and it's such a catchy riff, and it's like, and most people that sampled it didn't change the riff much.
Right.
So it's definitely this is a straightforward sample where you're just like, yeah, that's
Flashlight.
Yeah,
Cool,
like,
right.
like, because it's one of those things where if you're a sample-based producer, you're like, this riff is too good. I'm not gonna chop it up or fuck with it. It just needs to like breathe straightforward.
Yeah,
nice.
You gotta know when to chop shit up and when to just like, let it ride. Yeah, and then this is one of them. It's like such a perfect record, and like even like the other records they got, like this was another one, like 2001 for Dre. It was like, it was hard for me to go through the catalog and pick one record.
Right.
And like Not Just Knee Deep, like the bass line had been sampled over and over.
Yeah.
And dun, it's like
this George is one of the.
Dre Day was one of the best flips of that.
Yeah, he's one of the most picked artists on this show.
Yeah.
I mean, we so many Mayor Hawthorne.
That makes sense.
George Ann Muldrow. Someone else picked it last week. Can't even remember now, but yeah, George Clinton's always picked on this show.
And it's funny, producers wise, it's always Timbaland and Pharrell.
True.
Because those were like, they really defined the generation.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think my point really is important to what you just said. It's like, those were some of the first guys where you really like, they like got the shine as being like the parentheses produced by the Neptunes.
Yeah.
Because if you saw a beat that was like produced by the Neptunes, you're like,
I'm checking for it.
even if I don't even know who the fuck the artist is, I'm not gonna listen to this.
Khalees Most Wanted. Produced by the Neptunes.
Khalees was someone that got put up by the Neptunes, and it was because you're like, oh, this like Neptunes are producing a bunch of records for this girl. Like, who is this?
Right.
What's the title of the I Hate You So Much Right Now record? What was it? It's the title of it. I'm blanking on the name of it.
I Hate You So Much.
Caught Out There.
Yes.
Caught Out There was that was one of the first songs that the Neptunes got on radio.
Yeah.
You know, and they really defined drums.
Milkshake too.
You know who's a huge Neptunes fan? I don't know if you know Danny Mahoney.
That's my boy. Yeah. I literally
Danny
was just with
like,
Danny Mahoney.
Danny is like the biggest Neptunes fan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I literally was just hanging with Danny Mahoney. Right before I came, I went with Diplo was playing at Uncle Beach Club, so I was hanging with him.
He's a huge.
And Danny Mahoney's always there. So
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yep. All right. Parliament. Flashlight. Once again, Purple Rain, back for like the third or fourth time on the show.
As it should be. As it
should be, because there's so many good tracks. Everybody picks something different. Slug of Atmosphere, we did discuss I Would Die For You with him, which is also your pick here.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us about this.
Another artist that you go through his entire catalog, and I'm like, I almost felt like this is one of my favorite Prince records, but I almost felt like guilty about picking it because I'm like, I'm ignoring so much other shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, I Would Die For You. This song is like, to me, is the most 80s sounding Prince song.
Yeah,
and I think it's because of that, like, it's the snare drum and it's the percussion in the background.
Yeah.
Like the kind of arpeggiated, kind of like, I don't know. It's just such a dope record. Like, I'd rather talk about Prince more as an artist, honestly, because it's like, probably definitely one of the most influential artists for me, because
without a doubt
he didn't give a fuck. And that's, if you look at the definition of a musical genius in the dictionary,
totally,
that's it. Multi-instrumentalist, trendsetter in terms of like the way he dressed, his aesthetic, like his sound was defined for versatile, but versatile, would write for other people too. Would he was one of the first people to have like a chick guitarist in his band.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, was so forward thinking.
Right.
And man, genius. I like I said, I got to see him perform at the Inglewood Forum before he passed away, and it was the best concert I've ever been to.
Nice.
It wasn't the first concert I've ever been to. That was West Side Connection, actually.
That was the first?
Yeah, that was the first. It was at House of Blues.
Nice.
And I slapped hands with Mac Cube, and I didn't slap hands with Mac 10. WC and Cube.
Yeah.
Mac 10 was a little more in the back, reserved.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to Prince. That was probably the best concert I've ever seen. And he'd do like the Prince, like almost like the Fred Armisen impression of him, where he do the smirk and then like disappear, and they keep the house lights on, so you're like, he's not done yet, and then be like, one more song.
Yeah.
He did like fucking 7 encores. Probably.
Right, it does like a 40-minute jam session.
I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
Because you're like, wait, he didn't do When Doves Cry yet.
Yeah. That's what
he's not gonna leave.
You start taking a Cali.
Yeah.
He said, no, wait.
No, he's not gonna leave without doing 1999 yet.
Yeah.
Comes back and
So
he's doing it.
He's
did you
amazing.
ever? Were you when you went to the concert? Did you ever catch his after parties?
No,
I shouldn't even tell you this. So
that's gonna break my heart.
So he performed in Vegas several times. Every time after he performed, he'd rent out. There's a club on the strip called the Mets. Used to be
Utopia. Mets. Yeah. Shark Club, I think, too. Yeah.
Next to Fat Burger on the strip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so he rented that out twice, and rented it out twice. I can't remember if it was no cameras or something. I think it was no cameras, but he would just do a jam session. And he did it there. Awesome. He did it at House of Blues, same thing. So he'd have a concert, and then he'd show up at House of Blues and play for 2-3 more hours, just a jam session.
Right.
That's so dope.
Yeah, so sorry you missed that.
Well, speaking of that,
I don't even know if I would have. Yeah, I don't even know if he did it. So I'm going to assume he didn't do it that night, so I'm not going to have any FOMO.
Yeah. But it was awesome.
There is like a 30-minute version of "I Would Die for You"
really
on YouTube. Yeah, it's 30 minutes.
It's like a symphony.
Yeah, they pressed a 12-inch of like 12 minutes of it, but on YouTube they have the full 30-minute.
Wow.
You know, and I mean they stay. It is a jam session, but they do like go back into the hook like several times throughout the half an hour. You know.
It's almost like you'd see something like an outro of a long concert.
Right. Yeah.
My best Prince performance wasn't even a Prince song. It was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the entry when he did My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Yeah.
And he did the guitar solo.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember this. Yes. Yeah.
That.
Genius.
Well, pure genius.
The other little fun. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say people throw that term genius around very loosely. Nowadays,
with him, he's
genius.
Yeah. All right.
Ahead,
No, I was just gonna say the thing about this record that was crazy is Slug, when we had him on the show, he pointed out that it's spelled "I would die" number 4 letter U.
Yeah.
And he died on 421. U being the 21st letter of the alphabet. So it's "I would die 421." He did die on 421.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some crazy
Illuminati
conspiracy
theory. Some Slug Pizzo shit right there.
Holy shit. That's crazy.
Yeah. Prop. Shout out to Slug from Atmosphere who pointed that out to us and blew our minds too.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah. I remember when I found out he died. I was on the run, literally on the runway, about to take off from. I was in Canada or something.
Yeah.
And it was like 5. We were like literally when the plane starts to pick up speed.
Yeah.
And then I was on Twitter and I see my whole feed like no. I was like no, like this can't be true.
Yeah.
And I remember I was about to nap on that plane. I bought Wi-Fi just to be like making sure.
Just
it's
to
true.
make sure.
I was just heartbroken.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awful.
Important part of my childhood too. You know?
Yeah. All of us too. Prince, I would die for you. All right, Valentino, next on your list, we have Justice.
Woo!
Women Worldwide, 10 years.
Woo!
Justice remixed and mixed, etc., etc. Your track was Waters of Nazareth. This is a mega mix of Phantom and We Are Your Friends and all that, but tell us about it.
Waters of Nazareth is maybe the most important record for me in terms of what I do today.
Yeah.
I got to shout out my brother because I was just listening to rap my entire life.
Yeah.
Listening to, I listen to other shit too, but pretty much mostly just rap.
Yeah.
At the time, I was probably listening to, I don't know who was out, like probably 50 Cent in The Game or like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably like 2007.
Right.
And I remember I walked by his room one day because he was, and I had heard of shit before. He was like, he started to randomly listen to like European house records, like Benny Benassi, like
Satisfaction.
Download like hard style records, like
almost
for like the novelty of it, you get like a kick out of it.
Yeah.
I was like, that's like kind of interesting. It's kind of cool, but like, you do you and I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna listen to this gangster rap shit.
Yeah.
And then one day I walked by his room and I still remember the moment. I don't know why I still remember the moment, but it ended up being one of the most important moments for me. And I heard him playing this distorted record, mad distorted. I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Once again, calling back to the what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
It's the most important reaction you can have, I feel like, as a fan of music.
Yeah,
and
sure.
In turn, as a producer. And he's like, oh, yeah, this is these guys, Justice. They're these DJs from France. And like, I probably maybe told me about Ed Banger.
Right.
And I was like, all right. give me that one. give me that one. I'm gonna listen to that one. And then I was like, this is amazing. And then I from there I started listening to Boys Noise, to Bloody Beetroots.
Okay.
And like everybody, Ed Banger, shout out Busy P, Ed Banger, everybody in that crew put out the those were like the first records that broke dance music into America at the ground level.
Totally.
Where you had, and shout out Steve, I was gonna say shout out Aoki too, because he was one of the first people that was like bringing all those dudes.
Right.
A-Track.
Yeah, A-Track too. Yeah. All these people that really curated this culture from ground up, and now it's grown into this massively profitable commercial empire.
Right.
But without people like these guys, like dance music wouldn't exist in America, or it wouldn't sound like this, And the rawness of these records, it was like punk rock and dance music mixed together.
Right.
You know what I mean? It kind of makes sense that they've kind of turned into almost like a rock band now, basically.
Right.
Because and then it I remember like another like level up for it was a big deal, like Grand Theft Auto. Shout out Grand Theft Auto, because they had Electroshock, which was the station within the video game, which had it had Waters of Nazareth, that had We Are Your Friends.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Simian Mobile Disco might have had a song in there. Like it was a bunch of other records in there, and this was the birth of like the culture for me, and this was the birth of like me getting into like Bloghouse, and then I go on the fucking Cobra Snake's website and see this like high exposure flash photography, and see like, oh, he took like Lindsay Lohan and Paris Hilton. They're hanging out at these underground parties. Like, this is like a movement.
Oh
like,
man,
that's
the birth of modern nightlife, essentially.
Yeah. Yes.
This basically comes from these records. I mean, it's
changed everything, man.
Yeah.
And these records are still important for me because it really the fun part about dance music was it did remind me of the really like in a way the elements of my favorite hip hop producers that were pushing boundaries and didn't give a fuck and were trying to make some new shit you'd never heard before.
Right.
And that's what got me into dance music. And I love like I produce records. I don't know if you guys know, but like rap records too for like T.I. and Lil Pump and 2 Chainz and shit like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like the cool thing about me doing my artist shit on the dance music side of things is I have complete freedom. Where I'm not, I enjoy both. It's a challenge of leaving the space for the vocalist and making a beat that you don't mind listening to over and over.
Yeah.
But this shit is dope because you can make whatever. It's a complete blank piece of paper. You can make whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's so cool. And I think that like, it's not necessarily a critique of what's going on in dance music nowadays, but I want people to remember that you don't even have to be influenced by Justice. But just remember that like, that's the cool part about this game is you can do whatever the fuck you want and make some cool, interesting shit that you have complete freedom. No one's hurt.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting you brought up your brother because I interviewed Agatha Alexander.
That's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
She's
But probably
cool.
3-4 years ago, it was about the Hardfest promo, and I was like, she sent me all the photos from the outtakes. I was like, does Valentino have a twin? Because it was you and your brother.
Okay, that's a
right, and he played you in the promo. Like
you see the like this
right
of his face because so she wrote a trailer for Hard Summer, which is a big music festival that takes place in Southern California every year, and the trailer was based around my mustache, which is kind of my signature.
Yeah.
And
attacking the city.
And it jumps off my face and starts to kill people and attack the city.
Right.
Like I think it kills Zed's dad, and then eventually Diplo at the end kills my mustache. So yeah.
Nice.
It all made sense.
I love it. All right.
Real quick, jump back to this.
Yeah. We went off on a big tangent.
One of the things you brought up with the Justice that I just want to point out is like so when we were spinning like when we started spinning at XS.
Right.
And we were, they had headliners come in, and just before that, we were always trying to find the commercial version of the underground genre. Like, Chucky, I'm a Miami bitch with the song before, Chucky had done with that. And then a few others were like kind of like the big commercial kind of hits.
Yeah.
And you could always see this sound bubbling under. Mm-hmm. So we would always look at that sound, the underground version of the house sound and go, okay, this stuff's really good. Let's try to pull this stuff over. Yeah. And credit, like you said, Steve Aoki and AM were doing Banana Split and playing a lot of that kind of stuff back then. But it's always interesting to see that when you have a genre of music and you think like what we're doing is cutting edge, and the people are like, what is this stuff you're playing? Because when we were playing there, people are like, what is this stuff you're playing?
Right.
And I always remember thinking, this is only the top layer.
Right.
Yeah.
Like this is the noisy, really good stuff is like we can't even play that.
Oh yeah. You're like, if you think this is like
the
cutting edge, you're like,
this is
weird,
nothing.
Like,
So it was just funny to hear you say that like you were listening to this stuff.
Yeah.
And like it kind of pulls you up, and it's funny because this stuff down here graduated to what house is now.
Right.
But, you know,
And like the important thing for me too, which was just like Justice basically got me into dance music. So actually, it was actually at a different Hard Fest. I'm never starstruck or nothing like that.
Right.
I'll go up to anybody, talk to them, whatever.
Yeah.
Everybody's just human beings, you know. But like, I did see Justice over there, and they were like 15 feet from me, and then I remember being like, yo, should I go over to them and say what's up? The only thing was, if they were dicks to me, it would ruin it.
Yeah,
it would ruin it.
Right.
And then I was talking to my brother actually was there, and I was talking to another friend of mine, shout out Astronomer, I was talking to him, and one of them said was like, you know what, even if they're dicks to you, it's a funny story. So I said, all right, fuck it, I'm going to go over. And I went over to Xavier, and I was like, hey, man, I just want to like let you know, like you guys are basically the reason I started producing dance music. He was like, oh, thank you so much, man. They were like mad cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I was like, dude, I'd never fucking do this, but can I just get a picture? Because it's real meaningful for me. And he's like, yeah. And he called over Gaspard, and yeah, if you scroll way back on my Instagram years ago, there's a picture of us. And
nice.
Yeah, that was the only time I've ever been afraid to say what's up to someone.
Yeah.
But it's because it had meaning.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me. I
Course,
didn't want it to ruin
course,
it. You know? Thankfully, they're mad cool dudes. So
Yeah.
big shout out, Justice, legends.
Nice.
All right. Justice, Waters of Nazareth.
Turn up the bass.
All right. Next up, I think this record is important to everybody here.
Oh yeah.
In some way, Silvio Icomo and Chucky Moomba, the Afrojack remix.
Yes.
Man, this record and Let the Bass Kick were huge records for when we kind of, you, me, Dave Fogg, kind of like laid that groundwork in terms of bringing in those electronic records to XS.
Yeah.
Like, this shit, man. I mean, and especially Let the Bass Kick. I mean,
Yeah.
And this was like the beginning, like the Dirty Dutch.
Yeah,
the Dirty
exactly.
Dutch.
This was the beginning of like Dutch house movement.
Yep.
You know, shout out Sidney Sampson. Chucky, Afrojack. Yeah, there's a whole list of people. Silvio Como. Yo, like, this record is important for me, not just because it's a dope record. I still play this, and it still goes off.
Yeah, it does.
Like, once in a while, I'll still play it. And it's important for me because this is the birth of Moombahton.
Yeah.
If we had a player with a little more features that we could control the tempo, we would slow this down to 108 beats per minute.
Right.
And you got to give a shout out to Dave Nada and Nadastrom.
Yes.
Dave Nada was playing a skip school party for like his little cousin, I believe, in DC.
Yep.
And it was the birth of a genre called Moombahton because he was playing all this Dutch house shit, but all his Latino, his cousin Latino friends, they just want to listen to like reggaeton records, like shit that they knew. So he's like, well, it's the same drum beat. I'm going to slow this shit down.
Yeah.
And he slowed it down to 108, and that was the birth of this genre called Moombahton.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's important for me because when I first got into making dance music, I had some friends around like, yeah, try to make this Moombahton shit. Like, that's what's kind of like the new shit. So I said, all right. I made a couple records, and it became some of my oldest records. Like, I made a record called Talk Trash.
Right.
And I flipped the old, I don't even know how to pronounce her name right. I think it's Schlacht of Bronx and Gucci Banana. I flipped a record called Coolie Fruit. That was another Moombahton record.
Yeah.
My first official release was a record on Mad Decent called Ruckus.
Yep.
I did with Will Bailey. Shout out Will Bailey.
Yep.
OG, and who is now producing as Low Stepper. It's funny, we both started making Moombahton records and Dutch house records, and now we're both making house records. But his shit is more like deep house UK.
Yeah, Low Stepper.
Garage shit.
Very
he's
UK.
super dope.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to Moombahton. This was the original record though, because this was that's why it's called Moombahton.
Right.
Because it's Moomba.
It's Moomba, yeah. Yep.
Plus the tone of reggaeton.
Yep.
So it's man. This was a really influential record for everybody, and shout out Afrojack for really like the original was dope, but this is the one that everybody was playing out, and it gave crazy life, has crazy energy to it. And if you hear even the drum beat, it ended up kind of becoming on the floor for Major Lazer.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, no, totally. Yeah, and I mean, like, and also, I mean, we're touching heavily on Chucky here, but also Afrojack too. I mean, like, you know, I remember being totally all over his music. Like, I mean, Take Over Control.
Yeah.
Like the remix he did for Lady Gaga. Yeah. Like, I was just like that noise. Yeah. I was just like, this is so different.
And the drum sounds at that tempo, like the marching drum sounds,
right?
Like
they were definitely advanced.
Dirty Dutch whole thing.
Yeah,
like,
they were advanced compared to other dance records at the time. For
definitely,
sure. They sounded more like if you really brought in like somebody tribal or some shit to drum on a record. You know, it wasn't like there now where you have like guys like WeWeck or something like that where we're making these crazy records where I'm like, I don't even know are you like literally going to Africa to get your drums? Like, I think he kind of did on his last release. He like brought in real drummers and shit, but like this was like the next level up in terms of drums. But like for me this is really important because I got my start making Moomba Tone. That's how I first started getting play from other producers and DJs. Like Dylan Francis was one of the first dudes to ever play my records. Diplo was obviously too. Like, but I remember watching some weird live stream of like Dylan from Germany, and then it was somebody found it and was like, yo, he played Ruckus, played your record, and like that was it was like that's like how, like I said, like having that foundation of respect and like we all respect each other as musicians. It's really important to how this game works, and like that. That's how I got a name. It was a slow build, but I just kind of started to become like the DJ's DJ or the producer's producer, however, or the DJ's producer, however you want to look at it. Like where like I was just getting a lot of play from my peers. And that means so much to me because I always love, no matter what, love getting fan love from, you know, people that are listeners, don't produce, don't DJ, whatever, aren't musicians even. But it means a lot to me to get support from my peers because I'm like, I know you know what it takes to make this record. So if you love it and you respect my, you know, my skills in making this music.
This is the ultimate seal of approval.
The ultimate compliment,
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Silvio Ikomo and Chucky Moomba, Afrojack remix. All right, Valentino, finally. East Flatbush Project, Tribe by 12. Man, I bet you forgot that you picked this one. And this is a hip hop site.
Bring it back. Wow.
Classic. I mean, this is the indie hip hop 12-inch era that Warren and I were in the midst of. Tell us about this. I mean, this beat is so... It's
literally just like... It's just one of the dopest beats, especially dopest sample-based beats.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those... It's one of those you would get from a record store. You know what I mean?
Yes.
This is like... Man...
This is the one that someone else is playing it, and you're digging, and you go...
Exactly.
Wait, what's that one?
Right.
What's that one over there?
Or everyone's tried to remix and nobody can do it justice. Like, nope, just the original.
Yeah.
And the dope. The hook is so dope. It's like rather be Tribe by 12 than Care by 6. It's like you don't even need to say anything else.
Yeah.
Like that,
How did you come across this? I mean, everything was West Coast, West Coast.
Remember.
Justice.
Oh, I mean, I definitely listened to East Coast rap at the same time too. You know, I listen to everything. You know what I mean? And but like I did listen to East Coast shit, and this is definitely one of those records from the East Coast that I listened to. And this is, to me, it's like this is like the epitome of how to find a great sample.
Right.
Put the right drums on it. I don't even know. I don't. If I might be off. I don't know if they took the same drums or not, or if they added their own drums. But like very Uchi-Wally, wood blocky drums.
It sounds
on
like
it.
the
paper thin a little bit.
Sounds like the Mahogany. That same sample was it Al Green?
Maybe.
Mahogany.
I was thinking MC Light, like paper thin. Maybe, But I can see the connection here because this is another minimalist beat like Grindin'.
Yeah.
You know, so that's clearly you have an ear for that kind of.
I mean, as a producer, I've just learned that like, if I can write some really complex shit, and I feel like I do have certain things in my catalog that are very musical.
Right.
But if I can write something that executes the same idea, if you take two ideas and they have the same impact, we can execute it in the simplest form, I feel like it's always going to hit harder.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just, and I think there's an art to making a simple record. I've seen people on the internet or whatever be like, even if like beats by like for example, like It's Going Down by Young Jock, like produced by Nitty.
Right.
We had a real moment with producing 2-note melodies.
Right.
And we were like,
just doing this basically.
It was like, yeah, and and like people on the internet's like, you're ruining hip hop. You're killing it. It's a 2-note melody. I'm like, all right, motherfucker, you do it.
Right.
If it's so easy, you do it.
Yeah.
And you make a hit. You know what I'm saying? So I got respect for both sides of the playing field, where it's like.
All right, East Flatbush Project, Try by 12.
I feel like we barely talked about it, but love that record. Shout out East Flatbush Project.
All right, this is Let the Record Show. I am Mike Pizzo.
I'm Warren Peace.
Today's special guest was
Valentino Khan.
Thank you for being here, man.
Thank you, guys.
Amazing conversation.
That was so much fun.
We could keep talking, but you got.
I thought I was going over. Yeah. I gotta go. Yeah, get out of here.
All right, we're out of here. Peace.
Peace.